Adam, Kevin, thank you so much for accepting fellowships of the interior educators. It speaks volumes about, one, your kindness and generosity. Your generosity to other designers and to the profession, because your work's been remarkable. How did you guys first get together to start working?
Ooh, you have to go back to the late 80s, I suppose.
We're at Michael Marriott, amazing furniture designer's birthday party. We were sitting in a little bar in Shoreditch when there weren't any clubs other than LA's, two little pubs, and Kevin had been shopping with his incredibly gorgeous young girlfriend at the time, and he said to me, "You know what, Adam, I've seen some of your work. I really like this little tiny corner orange shelf. It's my favourite colour." And we got talking, we got on really well, and he was like, "Do you know what? I'm really into design, I'm really into buildings, and tomorrow I'll take you to my studio and you can look at my work." So we went out, stayed out really, really late, and I was like, I'll probably never see this guy again. In the morning, he came round, collected me and took me to his design studios and talked to me about design and work and architecture, and at that point I thought, it'd be fantastic to work with this guy. He's coming from a completely different perspective, but he's got the same ethos, the same approach to life. And we tried to win a project together, and we failed. We tried to do a collaborative piece, did a pitch, and failed. And then when the opportunity arose, Kevin was up for working with us together and joining. And yeah, that was, how many years ago now? Wow.
Oh God, 90s, 1990.
So you can blame Michael Marriott.
Michael Marriott.
Michael Marriott. It's all about Michael Marriott.
But you know, and that's the first time I've ever heard designers talk about coming together, failing with something, but having learned enough about each other to know they'd like to work and to collaborate. So when you actually found a project that you could work on, two different studios, how did that merge work? How do you get, how do you get those two minds to work together on the same thing?
Well, it's easy for me to say because Adam's never had a job. No one would employ him. He's tried it.
And I'll never
no one ever
have
touched him. Well, I went through the whole thing of being, design school, architecture school, apprenticeships with Ben Kelly, Steve Donald, whoever. And actually, at that moment, I sort of came out of that and found a sort of an attitude in that district of East London, which is about our time. It wasn't about Ben's time or Steve Donald's time or Fred's time or anyone's time. It's about our time. And I think it's just the spirit of the moment that drove. That actually, there's loads of great things going on at the time. Adam was doing his stuff, Michael Marriott was doing his stuff, the Stafford. But also, you got to remember that at the same time, there's the YBA phenomenon, and it all got concentrated around an area, and it was actually about, it's our time now. It wasn't Ben's time. It wasn't, it's our time, and I think it grew from there. And there's a synergy that existed from just liking the same shit, and and actually understanding about friendships and loyalty, and actually into whatever you're doing and making. It wasn't being apprenticeships to anyone else. Now it's our generation, and we were making moves and shakes in that smell. But small, there's Juggernaut and Michael Marriott, there's Brinkworth, and it was groovy. But I was still tied to the old school, and so there's a new thing happening in a very concentrated area, and I wanted to be part of that. And it was a mindset that was the magnet that. Got it all going.
That's wonderfully romantic, isn't it? That's lovely.
It was romantic. It was very romantic. It was a brilliant. It was an exciting time. It was a moment in time, and it all happened. And everyone's got their stories. You listen to the great Pete Higgins, Alan Phillips, and you've been through that lot. And we're both apprentices to these great people. At some point, you cut it over and you look to your own generation, and through Adam, I found that.
And the thing that's got you going to say?
I was just going to say very simply, I think I was known as a one-trick pony.
Really?
Yeah, I came from a furniture background. I couldn't talk any clients into doing anything other than stores. And here was Kevin. He'd designed some of the most important bars, restaurants, clubs, music, venues, homes. And I saw, in working with Kevin, in a collaborative way, I could see a like-minded approach, which would broaden our spectrum, because I didn't want it to be narrow. I didn't want to be known for just doing one thing. I wanted to diversify and have more strings to our bow. And I was like, he's done it, I haven't.
So you two must have been really quite new to a lot of clients, because I think the 90s were known as a time of me. They were about me, the centre. It's always about this individual. You came together in this kind of interesting way with a catalogue of work that was quite disparate. So corporate clients, when you two walk into a room with energy, how did they take to that?
Well, I think, you know, there's projects in our portfolio, we've won them over by that slight, in a corporate way, naivety, but enthusiasm. Like, we do what we say, you know, and through the work that we've done, actually, I'd say, you know, it's been 24 years with him, 13 or 14 with me, or whatever. You know, we do what we say. So you have the background to stand up with that comment and go, we can sort your shit out. We can do that, and we can deliver it. And we've won big international clients on the back of, you know, we don't bullshit. We can get on with it, and we can do it. And we take responsibility. We know building, we know manufacturing, we know detail, and we know timescales, we know budget, and we can perform.
I hope that we can be quite clear with people. And we didn't, of course, have any large corporate clients to start with, because we wouldn't have wooed any, we couldn't have communicated to them in a way that they could have appreciated. We were just lucky enough. We occasionally met people that we helped them in a small way to be really successful, and they became really big clients. They started as tiny clients, but you start together sometimes with these relationships. We've got clients that we've had for 20 years. They were tiny, we'd meet them in their house. We're meeting them in their islands, you know, sometimes now. There's a massive contrast, and I like the diversity of it. I like the idea that we can still pull off a project for 20 grand for one person. We may never do something else again.
Yes.
We can work with something, I hope, globally sensitive for a much, much, much larger corporation.
And for me,
a real big variety.
And for me, what comes out of this notion is that you put yourselves in a position to try to see, rather than we have some great big master plan. There wasn't a great big master plan. You were just you seem to be involved with a lot of people doing interesting things.
I think there is, you know, maybe there is some master plan, but it's about the quality of life and doing what you want to do. You know, and through meeting Adam, I found a place where I get to do what I want to do, and it does sound a bit arrogant. And it's like, you know, it's like, this is where we're going. You come on board, and now we're in a position where clients do come on board to that energy and that studio ethos. Is like we you know, because there's a track record there. So. And that sounds really arrogant, but you know what I mean. It's just almost like this is what we're about. And you can go, you know, it's not about that
arrogance.
It's not, no, but you could just it's just about affording a certain attitude that people now want to invest into that.
Being selective, making the most of the opportunities. We believe
and doing right.
If you, it sounds like we're going to sound like hippies. You know, what you put out is what you get. If you produce, I believe we've got a special place full of special people, and therefore you can produce special stuff. It's very straightforward, and we have no idea what we'll be doing next. No idea. We could guess all we like. Most of our projects take 4 weeks. It's pretty fast stuff.
That is fast.
And we can make all the 5-year Roosevelt plans we like. You know, going, yeah, what about this? That lovely, you know, the movie we enjoyed showing you today.
Yes.
It's got nothing directly related to what we do. And thinking, that was actually a really fun thing to do, and it's a great way of showing your work. Maybe there's an opportunity there, you know, or we might see something someone else has done and think, that's really interesting, it might be a different discipline.
But the beautiful thing about throwing in the Christmas video, which you throw in, you know, it's unexpected. It's like, this is our Christmas video, and this is what it's about: production, art, direction, getting you know, an artist we celebrate in, you know, amazing. And it is going, there you go, it's May, and we're showing Christmas films. So it's Dadaist in a sense. It just throws up everything, and just throw it up and see what happens.
But that means you're investing in play.
Of course.
And most of the people that sort of undergraduates at Ravensbourne see, invest in, as you said, this corporate plan. But this notion that you can invest in play and you can actually have a great life at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean, the two of you, when you gave your presentation, there was passion, and you're smiling. I mean, most designers you see, no, I better not quote anybody in particular, they're very serious, they're not seeming to enjoy something. You seem to really
Well, you got to remember, we come from that era, which is, you know, sort of that late 80s thing, you know, and it kicked off and it spawned a generation of, you know, YBAs, Britpop, you know, all that stuff, and punk, you know, post-punk. It was just a fantastic time. So I think we'd be silly to take ourselves too seriously. You know,
yeah, we had an 18th birthday party, I don't know how long ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and we had this production company working with us, and I think, if I could try and sort of make that point, there's only one sign in our office. Well, actually outside the doors still have Marriott Brinkworth, because he used to work in the same space, and we'd never paint over a mate's name, so we just paint round. But at the back of the studio, at the back of the, and that's the start of the little movie, at the back of the studio we had an 18th birthday party. All Saints were doing loads and loads of white bulbs. We were just about sick to our teeth of doing the same type of bulbs that move. So we're like, we'll find an opportunity to do some colour ones. And we had a party in the tram shed when it first opened, and the motto was, so far so good. And that was our sign. And now recently we're trying to think, well, we're a bit older now, maybe it should be so good so far, you know, maybe a bit more positive. And then we've got Dinos, a mate of ours, Dinos Chapman, came around the other day, he went, so far so.
But it's always turning it, it's always redoing it, you know, just looking again.
And I hope it doesn't come across as it's all lovely and fun. Some of it is actually really rigorous and wonderfully boring. You know, and hard work, of course.
And I think it's interesting because you have cycled through lots of Ravensbourne graduates have worked for you, and they've gone through and they found other jobs, and they still talk about the time they were in that place.
It was the best time of their lives.
I think no,
seriously, it's not a bad place to be. You know, it is like
they
you
talk
come
about
to work,
community. They all talk about community
and collaboration.
Collaboration, and it is like we're bringing in someone to collaborate with a Wilson or, you know, these whoever it is coming in, and we're generous. We're generous with the spirit of it. We're not arrogant about if someone knows better than us. We bring them in, and they're going to contribute to it. You know, we look to our manufacturers to tell us how to do what we think we know better at. You know, so it's always about collaboration. So it's a studio, it's a healthy environment. So any student passing through that environment, you know, I can't imagine a better place to be, really. I really don't.
People move on from the reports I've had, that's absolutely the case.
I mean, it is like that. It is like that, and I'm very proud of that. And that's the environment we've created. And people move on because different reasons. They want loads of money and they got big, you know, whatever. But it's still, you know, there's no hierarchy. You know, Adam, he's the biggest clown in the office. He's still like, oh, but come on, because I've seen this film, I've seen this sort of video. My mate's done this. It's that energy all the time. You know.
But because you're really busy these days, how do you find time still to get involved in education? That's the mystery.
Because it's important. It's how you feed the studio. How do you feed the studio?
That couldn't have been a better answer.
That was a really good answer.
That couldn't have been a better answer.
That was a really good answer.
How do you feed? You know, we got to look after. You know, it's really passionate. You know, I've been teaching. When I graduated, I started teaching. I taught at art school, I taught at King's, I taught everywhere. And you got to look after those coming through, and sometimes the budgets are not there for you guys. There's no. When I had the luxury, and you did, we talked together.
Yes, we did.
We had a lovely time.
We did.
And it was like, what are you doing Monday and Tuesday? And I was saying, and it was like nowadays there's no money there, and it's not the money, but it's just that experience, and it's just really getting involved. And we can moan about the quality of people coming through, coming into us or wanting to be in our studio. Okay, you're rubbish, but then we got a responsibility to do something about that by getting in to the front line bit early on and telling professors like yourself, go, oh, you got to sort it out because that's not delivering what we want.
You suddenly made me feel rather old.
At the end. We're on the same path.
We are.
But it's important. It's important to me, and I know it's important to Alan. He's an external examiner. He teaches extensively, lectures extensively. Me too, you know. And it's important to us that we want talent, and
I was very
we've
flattered.
got to nurture it early.
I was very flattered to be asked to be the external assessor for Kingston, because this is where Kev came from. It's where Richard came from. The brightest people we've often had in our design history have come from Kingston.
And that's because they had a great...
They all had denim jackets on, but they all had their own... apart from their dress sense,
we had different labels.
Individual style. And it was... I know that Kev, unlike me, Kev, you know, as you said, I just never had a job, and no one was offering me a job when I left college. But when Kev left college, he had all those people that he looked up wanting to employ him. And it was actually really nice to be in a situation last year. I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep an eye on these students. We plucked this girl, Ashley. She was the best student. And I got in early, right? Because we could say, do you fancy a job?
It's true.
Before she...
So it's an investment. You see it as an investment in the future.
Absolutely.
I
do. I do. I don't.
Yeah, I do as well.
I don't. We haven't spoken about it, but I do.
Education
I think getting
never
in
stops,
early.
right? It never stops. It goes all the way through. And if you can, you know, my whole talk earlier on, sorry, Kev, if I talked over you. My whole talk about was meeting Bill.
Yes.
And he was my tutor, and he inspired me when I was young. He inspired me this morning. He was my tutor, and it was the things I learned that were pivotal.
But look at me, you know, I came out of Kingston. I was taught by Fred Scott, Alan Phillips, Ben Kelly, Steve Donald, Julian Paltuck, Brian Beardsmore, which I never had the pleasure of. And I identified them, and I worked for all of them, because that's you know, and you get apprenticized by those, and then you carry on, and obviously they lay down the gauntlet, you take it on, and you got you know, give it back, and you're not going to give it back, but you know, I'm frustrated that we're not involved so much in education enough, I think. And so we're, you know, I come down here.
Yes.
You've made me a, what is it called?
A guru.
A guru. I can think of a better name. But
Gangster.
but it's nice. Like it's drop in, drop out, and it's just like, you know, before it's about picking up £25 an hour, but it's nothing to do with that anymore. It's just about getting involved in the discipline that you love, and just being influential. And as practitioners, we are influential
because it's you.
We're doing that stuff
it's the
day
you,
in,
it's
day
the
out, and actually being involved in a studio debate with really, you know, and the students in Ravensbourne are, you know, they're great. They are hungry, and
they were quite pushy when we left.
They're lovely. They're lovely. They're good.
How were they pushy? Tell us.
Can I have a business card? You know who I am. I'm in the first.
They'll be on the blower, mate, in the morning looking for a job. Don't worry about that.
And do you kind of commend that in the students, or do you want them to be that kind of...
I think, well, we need as a studio to have all sorts of characters, so the pushy ones, the quiet ones, balance it all out. But yeah, of course I admire people that are confident enough, that they are keen enough to be enthusiastic and bold enough and brave enough to say, hey, you know what, I'm a first year student, I've just started, I've seen some of your stuff, or I've no idea who you are, like what you said, you know, and do it that way.
Thank you, gentlemen. And for me, what's I suppose the interesting and special thing is, we didn't talk about your work. We talked mostly about how you came to be, and the view that education and practice are really one thing, and your generosity. So thank you.